Welcome to Health Zone. On this show, we'll discuss maintaining a healthy weight in today's society and walk in the shoes of Ellen Abramson as she discusses heart disease prevention and see what's in the kitchen on healthy cooking. You don't want to miss what's in the zone, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Health Zone. I'm your host, Kerry, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, weight management. And with us today is Jennifer Moffett. She is a clinical dietitian for SSM Depaul Health Center. And she does most of her work with the Weight Loss Institute, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you could make it. Again, I said one of my favorite topics is weight loss because as we get a little older, it gets a little more difficult to keep that weight off. So I'm experiencing a little bit of that at this point in my life. But let's talk about diet. Let's start off with diet because diet is usually the one thing that people think about when you talk about weight loss. How does diet fit in with losing weight?
Well, losing weight or even just maintaining weight is just an ongoing challenge for most people. And we see those statistics, obesity in America, just skyrocketing. Some of it is choice because we have a lot of choices when we eat out. We have choices when we shop at the store. And it's learning to make healthier choices. No, we're not going to be perfect and consistent all the time. So we try to balance. And there are some good resources, for instance, myplate.gov. If people have no concept of, well, what is a healthy meal or what should I put on my plate? Those types of resources can give us some guidance.
Well, as Americans, we have grown to expect a certain taste for our food. And a lot of people think healthy eating means bland taste. And I think that's a myth.
That's right. Or some people say if something tastes good, you probably shouldn't be having it because they almost feel like, yes, it needs to be very challenging for them. Perhaps they don't enjoy the taste, but they feel, well, that would be healthy for me. And that's far from the truth because good healthy food can be very spicy with healthy spices, fresh vegetables, good produce, and it can taste great. I think sometimes we have habits we've grown up with where maybe as kids at home we got used to using the salt shaker or family traditions in what folks cook, where we start with those tastes that then we carry on the rest of our lives and have to battle when they're not healthy choices.
Right, yeah, I have that situation occasionally and I've made some changes as I've grown older. Now, you earlier mentioned obesity. And people hear about obesity all the time.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the problems associated with obesity. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, sure. One thing that we observe if you're eating out or even in your own home is that portion size can be such an issue. We don't always eat the wrong foods or, quote, bad foods, but what we're putting on our plate is way too large for a portion. And that's some of what we try to teach patients and clients is better portion control. Sure, we want healthier choices, lower fat, lower salt, but to pare down the portion, and so many times the plates we use at home are huge. The plates that we get eating out at restaurants are almost like platters, and so the amount of food there is an overkill. It's just way too much, and we often grow up with that Clean the Plate Club membership, and we think, well, we don't want to waste, so I put it on my plate, I'll have to finish it anyway.
Or take a go box. If you got to take a go box, it's probably too much food.
But that's a good idea for later, for the next day, or sharing with someone else at home.
Yep, that's very true. That's very true. Okay, now, health problems associated with obesity and overweight. What can people look forward to if they don't begin to be more conscious about what they're putting in their bodies?
Definitely, there are repercussions, and I see that daily where people have carried extra weight for years and years, and that's a challenge to their body and to their systems. And they may start to see when they go to their doctor's office and have blood work done that perhaps their blood sugar is gradually creeping up and they're becoming on the edge of having a true diagnosis of being diabetic, or they're seeing by carrying extra weight for years and years that their blood pressure is creeping up. I mean, that can all be benefited by gradual weight loss to bring down sugars and bring down blood pressures. So they will usually see repercussions from carrying the extra weight and from those diet habits that they've had for years.
And that would then mean that their health care costs will go up, obviously. Now, when people are, say, overweight, is that a lifestyle choice, or is that something that people actually, they talked about cultural?
Yes.
You know, what would you say about that?
Some cultures do have the custom that some of their folks tend to be heavier or more heavy set. And changing cultural perceptions is a difficult area. I think when we've got something that is on the table, on paper, that doctor perhaps has said, we now know that your numbers are too high, that sometimes for those people that have the cultural tendencies to carry more weight is what they need to make it real. I mean, there's a lot of denial out there, and sometimes we need to take personal responsibility and admit, yes, I think the scale is too high and it's not healthy. Yeah. Or it doesn't look good. Or I hear people even just talk about their activities of daily living. They don't feel comfortable sitting in a chair and breathing, or anything that requires activity. And they know over time they've gotten short of breath doing the stairs. I mean, stairs for most people can make them short of breath, but they know when they're carrying extra weight it's even more difficult. So they want to talk about playing with their grandchildren, and they'll say, I want to be able to get on the floor or play in the yard and not be short of breath.
Now, when you're talking about culture, I remember younger, when I was in my 20s, my grandmother would say, boy, put some meat on your bones. So I was a runner, so I was skinny. And it's like, well, I feel great. You don't look healthy. You don't look healthy because you're too skinny. Where does that come from?
Well,
you know.
both extremes can happen, where people sometimes overdo on dieting or exercise, and they haven't reached a healthy weight at either end of the spectrum, too heavy or too thin. And we try to calculate needs for folks and give them a good range and a good calorie level that's appropriate for them. Okay. But they can take it to extremes on either end. A good balance is great. We encourage, yes, that portion control and some activity. Okay. So if someone is unable to do much exercise, for instance, and they're trying to lose weight, well, we'll encourage them to start small, to start slow, so that they feel a sense of accomplishment, that they're achieving some little goals that they set along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you talk about start small, start slow, that could be something as simple as getting up, walking down the block halfway, turning around, coming back the next day, walking a little further down the block, coming back a little further, like that. Find something that you enjoy doing. I think that has a lot to do with it, because many times people will say, well, I tried to exercise and I hurt, or I did this. Well, they overdid it, I would think.
Exactly. I think they are so enthusiastic about getting it started, or the fact that they've come to that decision that, yes, I'm going to step out the door with those tennis shoes and take a good walk or a little jog, that yes, they've gone farther than they thought they should, and they sometimes don't have the steam to get back. So they do need to start small. This time of year, coming into the springtime and early summer, is great because the weather's cooperative. Folks get outside more, and I see them walking on local trails, riding their bikes, just really taking the kids out, walking the dog, and that all adds up.
And also, I get this question sometimes. People say, I'm a bike rider. We talked earlier, you're a bike rider, and I want to ride my bike. But I tell you, I always got this one problem. Before they get done saying it, I'll say, it's the seat. It's the seat, okay? Well, it's going to be sore. I don't care what it is. It's going to be sore. It's just like anything else. It's a muscle that's going to have to get used to the seat. And so if you want to ride your bike, just know that the first 2, 3, 4 days
or longer
it's going to be sore. But if you continue to do it, it'll get used to it, and you'll be fine, and you'll enjoy it more.
As with any activity, you know, you're adding that endurance and you're adding that comfort level as you go. But the discomfort with the bike seat is a common complaint I hear from a lot of the ladies. And I can't tell you how many bike seats that I've gone through until you land on the one that works for you.
And you don't know. I have the little skinny seat, and it works fine for me for whatever reason. I can get off a bike for months and get back on it and only be sore for a day or two. Some people get on and it's like, oh, I can get back on the bike. But that, as far as I'm concerned, it's just an example of people finding the right exercise for them.
Or the right activity. I think some people are afraid to get it started because they've had a negative experience in the past where they tore a muscle or got too sore and uncomfortable because they went out too far and too fast. Or maybe they've got friends that are paying a large fee to join an expensive gym, and they feel that, well, I can't really exercise because I don't belong to a gym, when, oh, they certainly can. They can get out and just take a good walk, and it doesn't cost them anything.
It doesn't cost anything. And
Right.
that's the part that many people don't understand, is that you don't really have to pay. You, again, I'll say it again, find something that you enjoy doing. Counting calories is not a bad thing, so make sure that you exercise more, eat a little bit less, burn more calories than you put in your body, and you will lose weight. You don't have to worry about it. It'll happen. It just may not happen right away.
It's an easy equation. It's hard to have that patience. It's definitely hard to have that patience, but we see better food choices all the time. We have so many nice options in our stores. And in the spring and summer, all the farmers markets start to open up. Fabulous local fresh vegetables and fruits. Good healthy foods. It doesn't, and that's another misperception that some people have is, well, I've got to spend a fortune on what I'm buying for groceries. And yes, groceries have gotten more expensive, but there are very affordable, healthy choices out there.
You know what I discovered just maybe a couple of months ago? A friend of mine walked up and said, I'm not going to eat this. Why don't you have that? It's like, that's raw peppers. Well, yeah. And I ate them, and they were fantastic. Just raw peppers.
In their natural state.
In their natural state. You just cut them up, cleaned them, took all the stuff out, cut them up, and didn't put anything on them. No pepper, no salt, no anything. Just ate them just that way. They were great, and they were a great snack. And sometimes I eat them now for lunch, like an apple.
Fast and simple.
Yeah.
I think some people hesitate too because they think, well, I've never eaten healthy food. It has always come out of a can or a box, which is going to make it higher in sodium, and I really don't know how to prepare these items. Well, there was no preparation to that.
Yeah, step outside the box a little bit and try
Exactly.
something. That's all you need to do. Don't be afraid. It's not going to hurt you.
Exactly. Well, I think some people feel, well, I'm not a gourmet cook. I don't have a lot of recipe books, or my schedule does not allow me to be at home to cook much, and so they're eating out a lot. But they could grab some fast snacks like that and have something really healthy and super low calorie.
Yeah. Well, we've run a little bit short of time, unfortunately. I think we could probably talk a little bit more about it. Is there anything you would like to let our watchers know about the Institute or what you're doing?
Well, certainly. Most of my time is spent with the SSM Weight Loss Institute, and I work with the clients and patients there that are either in the non-surgical program or planning one of the weight loss surgeries. And we have education counseling sessions, we have support groups, and we meet with those folks to educate them and give them guidance on just these things, appropriate portions, the right type of eating, to help them promote their weight loss and be successful to reach their goals. And then in our outpatient services, we also see any other type of medical condition and referral from the physicians for things like cardiac diets or low cholesterol diets, anything like that. Or someone that's perhaps going through chemo and radiation treatment and losing too much weight, and we can give them guidance on how to kind of beef up and get healthier through their process.
Perfect, perfect. Well, thanks for joining us today on Health Zone. And when we come back, Ellen Abramson will talk about her book, Live to Dance, her story after a heart attack at age 51. Stay right there.
Isn't this a great backyard? And the neighborhood is close to everything. What's that smell?
When is a good time for septic tank failure? Backups can find their way into our water. Have your septic tank inspected annually and pumped as needed, and avoid flushing things like plastics, diapers, or household chemicals. Clean water. It's all up to us.
And wait till you see the kitchen.
I'm standing in front of you tonight because on April 27, 2008, I became a survivor of cardiac arrest. when I got home from the hospital and I began to recover, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and I think it was just like maybe 2 weeks afterwards, came out. It was the big headline article, St. Louis area, second to last in women's heart health. The reasons were obesity. So here I am, a Weight Watcher leader. So I've been a Weight Watcher leader most of my adult life, okay? So it's been a big thing in my life, you know, helping people lose weight and really working on it most of my life myself. So, and then it says the second is exercise. So I'm an avid exerciser. The third is smoking. So 6 months before my heart attack. I slowly really cut down over the years, but 6 months before my heart attack, I quit smoking. It's something that's very hard for me to admit because most people had no clue that I ever smoked because I did it in the closet because I was so ashamed that I did that in the first place. And then native St. Louis. So it just kind of seemed like, so I'm really good at speaking. I'm going to tell everybody. So what we need to do is we need to educate women because here's the best statistic yet. Heart disease is highly preventable. So many of these women die needlessly. So what I'm doing is I'm going to ask you to join my team and tell all the women that you love that heart disease is their greatest health threat so that that doesn't happen to them, and more importantly, make sure it doesn't happen to you. Then, at my daughter's wedding, my daughter married a cardiologist, 2 years, so there was a lot of talk at the wedding and all this talk about collateral circulation. I asked my husband, what are they talking about? Oh, she's an avid exerciser, that's why she's alive. And I said, what are they talking about? And everything was explained to me about because I exercise so much, all this circulation, built all these pathways, that's why I'm alive, that's why I look so great, that's why I'm healthy. I thought, maybe a friend of mine before the wedding said, maybe you should write a book. I laughed in her face, and I think she put the bug in my ear. And I thought, maybe this is just one more way, just one more avenue to get the word out. So I did it. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. In my book, it says, I am an author, and I did write a story. It's called Live to Dance, and somebody will be winning a copy today. The next chapter does say my story, but if I should ever redo the book, I shouldn't change that because you know what? It's not really my story. It's my family's story. It's my friend's story because heart disease affects families. Okay? So my story, I hadn't been feeling well for a while, you know, about 6 weeks. I work in the West County area at Weight Watchers, and one of the people that I worked with for the last 20 years, she is a nurse. So I kept on complaining to her, oh, I don't feel well. I went from a woman who 6 days a week exercised for an hour to an hour and a half. Stairmaster at the very, very top. I'm not going to say easily, but without any problem at all. So I would say, you know, at the top of my game, I could run maybe 6-7 miles. So I like to exercise. In my book, you know, my children write notes. So, you know, this is my favorite chapter in the book. One of my coworkers found something on Oprah. Oprah was looking for people who had a heart attack. And she sent it to me. I didn't fit the description. It's about people with high blood pressure and people who didn't work out. I have really low blood pressure. I'm an avid exerciser. But my kids saw it, and they sent letters anyway. When I got these letters, I couldn't, my son-in-law wrote, my son wrote, my daughter wrote. I burst into tears. These letters are the best gift ever. I knew I was going to be in the show. I didn't fit the description, but the chapter is Oprah didn't call and I didn't care. I'm a big Oprah freak. Would I have loved to have been in the show? Yes, but these letters mean more to me. You know, your kids don't tell you on a day-to-day basis how much they love you. My son wrote, you know, what can I say when the most important woman in my life almost dies? You know, you read these letters, you realize they might tell you, Mom, you embarrass me. They might tell you this and that, but they need you there. They want you there. He looked at my hands, and I could tell, you know, he looked a little nervous. They took my blood pressure, and he threw a stack of papers down, and he said at that moment he knew something ugly was going to happen. So, and he actually shares that in the book. He wrote a part of the book as well. And within minutes, I went into cardiac arrest. And it was so fast. My daughter was there watching, and my husband. So here, instead of a birthday celebration for my daughter's 27th birthday, she's watching. You know, my husband's watching. You know, I could hear the chaplain walking up and down the hall praying, and the chaplain, I recognized the voice, was a friend of mine. It was a horrible feeling. I'm watching my daughter cry and scream. I'm listening to my husband pray and holding the curtains. It was a horrible scene as they're cutting off my clothes and shooting my chest. It's just a horrible thing. You do not want that to happen. Weight Watchers saved my life. You know, when I think about it, because who told me to exercise? Weight Watchers. I did it to look good in my jeans, and then it helped me maintain my weight loss, and then it gave me, you know, it was the feeling, that great high. And so it's something that I've been doing since like the late 70s, because Weight Watchers told me to. So in the end, who saved my life? The best thing that you can do is Weight Watchers. So I remember being in rehab. All these women were complaining. They didn't know how to cook. They didn't know how to lose weight. They didn't know how to eat healthy. They hated to exercise. I was so far ahead of them. One of the best things you can do, you know, you need to quit smoking, but Weight Watchers. It's the only program that truly is a healthy lifestyle. So what are the symptoms of heart attack? Do you know? Sweating. And everybody I've talked to gets that. If you start shaking and sweating, that's unusual, okay? That, what else? Nausea, right? My husband went to get me antacid tablets and I couldn't stand anything in my mouth. So it doesn't necessarily mean throwing up, but not wanting anything in your mouth could be it. What else?
Shortness of breath.
Shortness of breath. So I was extreme fatigue. I couldn't breathe. I didn't understand that. So really listen to your body. What else? Pain in the arm. Jaw. You could think you have a toothache. And then it could be like flu-like symptoms and impending doom. I want them to take back their life, to know that life is not a dress rehearsal, that, you know, I lost some friends. I never thought it could happen to me, really. I want them to know that there's things that you can do to save your life. You know, I think about everything that happened to me in the past 3 years. I would have missed both my sons, their graduations, moving into an apartment. Oh my God, if I wasn't at my daughter's wedding, if I wouldn't have known my son-in-law, you know, I think about my daughter, you know, her 28th birthday, standing there at the restaurant, watching me coming in, holding flowers. I wish, you know, my daughter never saw that happen to me. It's something that she writes in the book, haunts her and will haunt her the rest of her life. You know, just the thought of not having those things. You know, I look forward to having grandchildren. I might have missed all that.
You say you'd give your right arm to be there for your family? Here's your chance to prove it. Have your blood pressure checked and control it to lower your risk of heart attack and stroke.
Welcome to Healthy Cooking. I'm Karen Dugan, also known as STL Veg Girl. And today we're at Whole Foods Market's kitchen cooking up a chocolate avocado mousse. Now, just stick with me, all right? Just stick with me. This really will work out. We're going to start by mashing up or cutting up 4 avocados. We're going to add a little bit of vanilla, some agave nectar, a little bit of raw sugar, and finally the unsweetened cocoa. That's really going to give it that chocolatey goodness. Let's get started. Okay, so I already have 3 of the avocados cut up in here. And this is how, if you've never done it, this is how you cut an avocado. Take a pretty good sized knife and right in the middle, start cutting your avocado. And you'll feel that pit in there and just rock your knife back and forth. And you're going to make your way all the way around. twist the avocado. And you see that pit? Take your knife and ever so gently get in there and take it out. All right, so how do you get the good meaty stuff out of that skin? Easy. Take a smaller knife, maybe a paring knife or whatever is most comfortable to you, and start scoring the inside of the avocado. Now the skin is pretty tough, so if you're very gentle, you won't go through. These scores do not need to be symmetrical or pretty. Really what you're doing is helping your food processor. So take a spoon and just scoop out the insides of that avocado. Do the same thing one more time. There we go. And when you're picking your avocados, you really want to make sure that you have one that's not too mushy, but it gives just a little bit. Okay, we have 4 avocados ready to go. Next, we're going to add a half of a cup of agave nectar. You can use agave nectar, you can use honey if you'd like, or you can use a brown rice syrup, whatever your preference. This is a half a cup, I'm just eyeing it. And you should eye it too. The sweetness is really going to depend upon your own palate. Now we're going to add a half a cup of raw sugar. Just pour it all in there. And finally, before we start getting going here, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. Again, I'm just eyeing it. So we'll let this go for just a minute. And let all the ingredients get to know themselves. Now the fun part. This is just unsweetened cocoa powder. There's nothing special about it. I didn't get it at a specialty store. You can get it at any grocery store. And we're going to let that go. You'll need to stop a couple of times just to scrape down the bottom. Oh, looks wonderful. No hint of an avocado, I promise. One more time. And we should be good to go. I'm going to scoop right into our little glass. Now this is wonderful for kids. This is wonderful for an after dinner treat, for a whole big party, because it's fast and it's easy. And of course it's delicious. I'm going to add just a few strawberries for the top. Add a little color. And, well, I'll just grab my spoon. Just a tiny little crunch in there from the raw sugar. And wonderful, deep, deep, dark deliciousness. Chocolate deliciousness. Thank you for watching Healthy Cooking. I'm Karen Dugan, and for more information on plant-based cooking classes, contact my website at stlveggirl.com. See you next time.